Ronell Nolan, President, CEO, Health Agents for America, coming to you live this Monday. I have to be honest, I'm not sure how much more my heart can take. I talk about the fact that y'all always need to tell me what's going on because this is a volunteer organization and it is full of ninja warriors. And when I tell you, you are a ninja warrior, you're a ninja warrior. We fight for this industry and we fight for our consumers 24/7. It's important that you guys let me know what's going on, and you do. This morning, I'm still flabbergasted. This morning I got a call that Oscar is being allowed to remove itself from the federal marketplace in Florida at midnight tonight. So if you need to enroll someone in Oscar, do it now. Do it all day, do it all night. Give them more than they can handle. I don't think it's right. I don't think it's fair. Does that set a precedence for other insurance companies to be allowed to jump out because they have enough business? They have all they can handle. Oscar's a huge company. Come on. Now you're going to see possibly also being told some of the smaller companies that are considering pulling out that, they're not going to have the impact that Oscar has. This is an impact. This is huge. You need to know it. You know what? You need to know it's happening. I say if you're from Florida, you need to make some phone calls. I think the deed is done. But I would certainly let the Department of Insurance know that you have a problem with the fact that states' rights are continuously being overlooked. And maybe the state has something to do with this. I don't really know. I have calls in. I can only say that this is happening. It's true. I've said for since the inception of HAFA, for some reason, we're put in the right place at the right time and we're told the right things at the right time. And I don't know why. I really, really don't. But you need to know this. You need to know it's happening by midnight tonight. Oscar in Florida, 3 days before open enrollment ends. I am not sure how many insurance companies will follow. The second thing that I have to say about this is what happens to those insurance companies that pull that are the second lowest silver. Will those rates be addressed? They've come in, they've undercut, they've got the business that they want. Now they have enough business. What does that do to the rates? What does that do to your clients? What does that do to the constituents of the respective states? What does that do to the consumers of the United States? Doesn't sound very fair to me. I'm going to go back to the Ninja Warrior issue. I think it was a pretty cool thing that happened last week. I was in Washington, D.C. with Bridget Gilbert and Michael Keegan. And we have HAFA brochure, HAFA folders. And if you're been a new member at one time, which you all have, you received a binder, and on the back it says we represent the HAFA Ninja Warriors. And on the way out, Congressman Johnson took his folder and he held it up and he said, "I like this. I like the Ninja Warriors," which really made me feel good. So we're going to talk a little bit more about craziness in the industry. What we went initially to Washington last week was I wanted to go to Capitol Hill and I wanted to personally thank and share some of your PAC dollars with those folks who signed the CMS letter asking for guidance on the Medicare recording requirement. And that we did. We set up at the Capitol Hill Club. We just moved table to table to table. The waiters kind of got a kick out of who we were going to be with at what time. But we stayed there pretty much all day. Our first meeting was with the Chief of Staff for Congressman Smucker. Spent, I would say, an hour with her. She was totally on board with everything that we had to say. We thanked her for the Medicaid, signing the Medicaid requirement letter. But the biggest thing that had happened since our travel to Washington was the release of a CMS pilot program that removes removes agents and brokers from the Medicaid unwinding and puts navigators in charge of this program. So you will remember there's going to be 3 million people that come off of the Medicaid rolls that will then be eligible for a marketplace plan. There is a CMS pilot program that will start in 3 states, North Carolina, Arizona, and Florida. This pilot program will give all proprietary information to navigators. They will send out letters to the navigators to the Medicaid recipients, giving them navigator information. Where does that put agents and brokers? Well, I'll say it puts us pretty much living under a bridge, because that's wrong and it's unfathomable. So we first talked to Congressman Spucker's chief of staff. Couldn't believe, had not heard about it, didn't know anything about it. Now, Joshua Brooker, which I talk about all the time, is a huge star, huge HAFA ninja warrior. He simply Googled the issue, found the deck CMS released, and we provided the deck to those on Capitol Hill, and will continue to share that deck. That deck says we are starting in these 3 states. However, this will be expanded to all states, taking all states' rights away, taking the agents and brokers out of the program. Now, remember that there is a help on demand that is there that could they could use that function. Tell Medicaid recipients you have the option of an agent or broker. Click on Help on Demand. We will answer within 15 minutes, and we will enroll them in a marketplace plan. Blows my mind. Nobody in Congress knew. So we talked about the Medicare recording requirement letter. We talked about the Medicaid unwinding pilot program, and we talked about the Senate bill that was released by Senator Round and Senator Risch, asking that agents and brokers are taking out of the Medicare recording requirement. Now, that was filed at the last hour 2022, so it will be needed to be refiled in 2023. We also asked for those who we spoke to that day to consider authoring a bill in 2023 on the House side, a sister bill. So we will be getting them information on that, and hopefully we can get that ball rolling and maybe get some attention. But the worst things that are happening right now is Oscar, who's going to follow him, and the Medicaid unwinding pilot program. The next person we sat and talked to was one of my favorite people on the Hill, is Congresswoman Harshberger. We met with her and her chief of staff. She was blown away. I mean, blown away. She couldn't believe the pilot program was happening. Couldn't believe Congress didn't know about it. And offered her help 1,000%. Whatever we needed. She gave us a list of people that we needed to talk to. We have got to get to the Energy and Commerce, the Finance Committee. We've got to get to all those folks and say, hey, do you know what's being done at the 9th hour at midnight under the cloak of darkness that's going to happen to each respective state? There's not enough navigators. Yes, they got $80 million, and they might each get $1 million. I don't know. But what I do know is there's not enough navigators to handle 3 million people. And agents and brokers deserve to help. And consumers deserve the option to choose to use a licensed, educated, and insured agent or broker. We then met with Congressman Carter, still spot on. Now remember, Smucker, Pennsylvania, Harshberger, Tennessee, Carter, Georgia. Totally got what we were talking about. absolutely offered our help. Then we had lunch with Congressman Johnson from Louisiana. Up and coming, his name's being shuffled out there with about Speaker, along with MacArthur, along with Scalise. So who knows? The Freedom Caucus wants Congressman Johnson. Again, he got it. And then we had a meeting with Senator Cassidy. Totally cool. I'm going to tell you, we had a full day. We met in what's called a hidden room, which I didn't know they had hidden rooms, but each one has a hidden room under the Capitol that they can be close to voting and things like that. So we were escorted underneath the Capitol to meet with Senator Cassidy and one of his healthcare policy staffers. After we met with with Senator Cassidy and Parker Reynolds, Parker immediately reached out to CMS and reached out to the Senate Finance. Senate Finance had no idea, no surprise. CMS would only say, yes, we're going to expand this, and we haven't made it public because we're still working with the navigators. You haven't made it public. Have you heard of the World Wide Web? Have you heard that we can Google anything and we can find anything? And we found your deck right there. So we have the list of navigators and how much money that was given to each one. We know what states and what counties they're going to start with. We know that they plan on expanding it, and we know they plan on taking the business away from agents and brokers. So to say that we had the best day I've ever had in my career, and I'm not lying, the best day ever. We didn't meet with staff. We met with the people that mattered. We told them our story. They understood our story. They got our story. They appreciated our story. And they have offered to help on all levels. Now, we need to get your involvement. Don't keep your mouth shut. We have 3 more days of enrollment to get a January 1st effective date. You enroll everybody and you get busy. And then when you have a moment and a free moment, reach out to your senators, your congressmen. We're going to be working that from our end, but just if you know them or you can find their email, reach out and say, do you know what's happening in your state? Do you know that CMS is going to give proprietary information to navigators to handle your constituents, and they're not allowing agents and brokers to do the same? Now, Senator Cassidy's office asked CMS directly, are you going to give this information to agents and brokers? Are you? That wasn't answered. No surprise there. But know that we are working so hard. Yes, I'm having a heart attack. Yes, I'm mad as hell. Yes, my hair is on fire. Yes, I'm flammable. I'm proud to be flammable. But know what's happening. I'm going to tell you when it's happening, as it's happening. And I'm going to tell you how to fight the fight. So until next Monday, this one was a little bit long. I am sorry, but happy selling and have a great day. Proud and honored to represent the HAFA Freedom Fighters, the Ninja Warriors. Ronnell Nolan.